Paul Revere. A popular myth is that I yelled on the night of my famous ride. The truth is, I actually hollered, "The regulars are out! The regulars are out!" You see, we are almost all from British descent. But let's start from the beginning. I was born on January 1st, 1735, in a tiny, crowded brick house near Boston Harbor. My father also wore the name Paul Revere, and my mother's name was Deborah Revere. I went to an all-boys school until I was 13. That was when I started working in my father's gold and silversmith shop. When I was 19, my father passed away, and I ran the shop. When I was 22, I married Sarah Orne. We had men to church one Sunday. Altogether, Sarah and I had 8 children. 5 months after Sarah's last child was born, she passed away. The children and I were heartbroken. One evening, I was hurrying home when I met Rachel Walker. She came with me to help care for my children. We were married in September 1773. We also had 8 children together. In 1760, I joined the Sons of Liberty. The Sons of Liberty was an American society against British rule in the colonies. In 1765, British soldiers were still in the colonies, even though the war with France had ended 2 years earlier. To pay for the soldiers in the colonies, the British Parliament decided they would charge taxes. Obviously, we colonists agreed that this was not fair, so the other Sons of Liberty and I led a protest against taxes in the colonies. In 1770, taxes were ended on everything except tea. On March 5th, 1770, there was a fight between some colonists and a group of British soldiers. This fight was later called the Boston Massacre. To stir up people's hatred for the British, I made an engraving of the Boston Massacre. I changed it a little bit, though. Okay, maybe I changed it more than a little. I engraved a line of British soldiers firing their guns at peaceful citizens. What really happened was only a few soldiers fired because some colonists were throwing things at them and calling them names. My plan to get more people against the British worked. We colonists were furious about the taxes on tea. In 1773, some men disguised as Indians boarded ships loaded with 342 chests of tea. We broke all of them open and threw them into the sea. This was called the Boston Tea Party. We never paid for the tea. British soldiers stayed in Boston and we spied on them. We learned that on April 18, 1775, hundreds of British soldiers prepared for a battle. This would be a restless night, but it was a night that made me well known. I wasn't sure if the British could come by land or if by sea, so I asked a man by the name of Robert Newman to do me a big favor. If the British came by land, he would light 1 lantern and hang it in the spire of the Christ Church. If they came by sea, he would light 2 lanterns. This was important because it determined about how long it would take the soldiers to get to Concord. William Dawes and I rode out to warn the Americans in Concord of the British advance. Samuel Prescott joined us in Lexington and finished the fight as I was captured. Shots were fired early the next morning. The Revolutionary War had begun. Representatives gathered on July 4th, 1776, and approved the Declaration of Independence. This document stated that we would not be ruled by the British king or parliament. During the war, I made cannons, set them in mill to make gunpowder, and served as a lieutenant colonel. The war lasted until 1783. That is how the USA became her own country. After the war, I retired to my normal work. I grew to be an old man. My grandchildren and great-grandchildren loved hearing stories of my deeds in the war. I passed away on March 10, 1818,